Hello, I'm Douglas Johnson, the day tripping adventurer, and today I'm walking along the 101 freeway here from Echo Park, heading to a part of Los Angeles that it's kind of like a little time capsule, of what Los Angeles once looked like back at the end or the turn of the 19th to the 20th century. And also, it's a very popular area for movies and films, and it's all located in an area called Angelino Heights. So as I walk there, let me give you a little bit of history of Angelino Heights. Founded in 1886, Angelino Heights is one of the oldest neighborhoods in Los Angeles, known for its concentration of Eastlake and Queen Anne-style homes. Unfortunately, a large swath of Angelino Heights was destroyed in the late 40s to build the 101 Hollywood freeway. Today, Angelino Heights is nestled between the 101 freeway to the south, Sunset Boulevard to the north and east, and Echo Park to the west. Angelino Heights is a popular location for the filming of movies and television. So for anybody that's watched my siren walks, you'll remember if you watched my very first Los Angeles air raid siren walk that I did a couple of years ago now. That was one of the sirens I visited, or right here. That was one of the sirens I visited on that walk. It was siren number 6. And at the time, there was a building I commented on, which was this one right here. And I said it looked like a firehouse of some sort. Now right next to it is this building. Let's see if I can get a good shot of it over my shoulder here. And if you look at it, it kind of looks like a firehouse, doesn't it? Well, at the time I had no idea what it was. Today, I know what it is. It's Los Angeles Fire Station number 6. This Mediterranean-style fire station was built in 1929 by the Los Angeles Construction Department. Its original location was on Temple Street, but it had to be moved to make way for the construction of the 101 Hollywood freeway. This was quite an accomplishment because it required them to move a brick building nearly 100 yards up a hill, then turn it 90 degrees. After successfully moving the building to its new home, it continued to serve as a fire station in some capacity until 1994, when the building closed for earthquake retrofitting and restoration. After much debate and community effort, it was officially designated Los Angeles Historical Monument number 605. It's kind of cool what engineers can do. I mean, they took this whole building here and they picked it up and they moved it. It was down there. Anyway, that's our first stop on this trip here to Angelino Heights. Our next stop is going to be to a movie location, one of which I'm sure many of you recognize from a pretty famous series of movies. I think they're up to number 10 right now. So yeah, let's head on over there and check it out. So I headed down Bellevue to a street called Marion, and here at this intersection, you'll find this building. You recognize it? It's called Bob's Market, but it's better known as Toretto's Market and Deli. And it's where Brian O'Connor first meets the Toretto family. You know, and that kicks off a whole series of those Fast and Furious movies.
Tuna on white, no crust, right?
I watched all of the Fast and Furious movies, all 10 of them. I watched them in about 2 to 3 weeks. And when I saw the first one and I saw that scene where Brian O'Connor, or Paul Walker's character, pulls up over here, I was like, I know that place. I went there. And there it is. A little bit of movie location history there. All right, so moving on from Bob's Market, or Toretto's Market, we're gonna go to see the Toretto house. Just up the street from Bob's Market, or the Toretto's Market, is the Toretto's family house. This is where the family would get together and have their meals. And you know, a couple of key scenes occurred here in this house, and I think in one of the movies, the house actually was blown up. But it's been rebuilt, so it looks really nice right now. One thing you'll notice, there's actually no garage back there. So there's no garage for their workshop. But anyway, there it is, the Toretto's house. Just remember, if you come by to stop for a visit, whoever touches the food first says grace.
You say grace.
Well, it seems like in this neighborhood filled with classic architecture, somebody wants to bring back a little piece of classic New York City. CBGB's. For those unfamiliar, it was a really popular music venue in New York City where a lot of underground bands got their start. Look it up. It's really an interesting story. It was a very interesting place. From what I know, it's no longer there, so you can find a little piece of classic New York history right here at Angelino Heights as well. Let's go on and see some more architecture. You know, I had a couple of specific places I was planning on going to visit. And then I'm walking down the street and I find places like this. Look at that architecture, look at that design on there. And then across the street, you got that building there. I took a photograph of that one as well. But the house I'm gonna see next is, you see that stop sign? I'm gonna go head right up that way, or that way, and we'll go to our next stop. Douglas Street, best street in Los Angeles. I'm in the shade, the house isn't. There's our next stop. You can see why I wanted to come here. This is 917 Douglas Street, or what's called the Hall Residence. It's known as what's called the East Lake. Every time I do these architecture things, I get these blowers. So it represents a style of architecture known as the East Lake style of Victorian architecture. I had to do some research to find out what that was, so let me tell you a little bit about it. The East Lake style of Victorian architecture was established by British architect Charles Eastlake. Characteristics of Eastlake houses include a facade of perforated gables, carved panels, and lattice work found along porch eaves, as well as railings that have intricate wooden designs. Now, let's move on to one of the oldest buildings around here. I really need to bring a reflector board when I do these things, you know, to get myself more light on my face. But anyway, for me, of course, the car comes as soon as I start. In my opinion, this is probably one of the most historical houses on this whole trip. It is the last surviving house from the Bunker Hill residential zone that was downtown that was kind of ripped down in the 20s or 30s. As far as they know, this is the last surviving house from that area of Los Angeles, which at one point was like a super wealthy area of LA. It's kind of famous. A lot of books written about it. I actually went to go see an author of one book, Los Angeles Bunker Hill, a man by the name of Nathan Marsick. He wrote about it, and he also was involved, from what I understand, he was involved in the discovery that this house is one of the last surviving houses of Bunker Hill. So let's find out a little bit more about this house called the Ellis House. Back in the 1860s, two wealthy developers began building houses on the peak of Bunker Hill, overlooking downtown Los Angeles. And the area quickly became famous as homes for the wealthy and upper class. But around the 1920s and early 30s, with an increased urban growth fed by an extensive streetcar system, its wealthy residents began leaving, and their houses soon became rundown and dilapidated. But the Ellis House managed to survive. Instead of being demolished, the house was painstakingly moved to two different locations during its history, and now it sits comfortably in Angelino Heights. And again, just like the firehouse, they picked this thing up from downtown Los Angeles, which is way over there, and they moved it up here. So the street that I'm on right here, Carroll Avenue, the entire street is on a register of historical places. It's because you've got this classic looking craftsman style house right here, and right across the street from it, you got this Victorian house. And that's just there's only two of the houses that are located on this street. But this one's interesting. I think it's called the Luckenberg. I'll put the name up. The Luckenberg House. This is built in the Victorian style, and it became one of the first Jewish hospitals in Los Angeles. And today it's Cultural Historic Monument number 191. This one here, this is called the Bates House. This was built in 1893, again with the blowers. This one was built in 1893. Thing is, it was built down on Pico Boulevard, and it was moved in 1921 and then moved again to this location here in 1988. So back in the day, people really liked moving houses around. The Bates House here is known, the architectural design is known as the Queen Anne's Cottage, and right next door to it is what's known as the Queen Anne's East Lake style. So yeah, this is called the Kaiser House, and this one was built in 1885. So that house is a little bit older than that house, 1893, 1885. Let's head on down the street a little bit more. So does this house look familiar? Standing in front of it, seeing that dilapidated roof and everything, gives off a little bit of a thriller vibe, doesn't it? Gives you like, feel like something impending doom is gonna happen. Looking at that house, I can hear Vincent Price, his laughter echoing in my mind right now. Let me put a music cue up to see if you remember what this house is. That's the Thriller house from Michael Jackson's music video Thriller. You know, that music video came out, like, from what I saw, in 1983. But I remember MTV would only play it after 10 p.m. because they thought it was too scary for people to watch. And me being like a 10-year-old, maybe 11 years old, I wasn't able to see it. I would go into school, and other kids, their parents let them stay up and see it. So these kids were talking about like this Thriller video, and I was so excited. I so wanted to see it. So I think one night I sneaked off and I stayed up late and I watched the video. But this was the time before YouTube, so we didn't have like these videos on demand. When that video came on, or when MTV played it, well, that was the only time you could watch it. Eventually, you know, you can watch it any time now, and it became this big sensation. And that dance sequence in there, well, who hasn't done the Thriller dance? Anyway, there's Michael Jackson's Thriller house. And of all the houses on the street, this one's still a little dilapidated. I don't know if that's intentional, but it kind of gives it that Thriller vibe. Now, right down the street from the Thriller house, 2 houses down, right down there, I'll get a little bit closer, that's another popular house from a television show called Charmed. I've never seen Charmed, so I can't tell you 100%. I can't give you any personal reference on it, but from what I understand, a bunch of witches live there. I just think that's kind of awesome. You got this zombie house right down the street from this witch's house. There's the Charmed house. I guess that's the main house that takes place, or where the story takes place in the show. I should check it out. But yeah, I mean, that's just that one, and the Thriller house are just some of the many really cool places that you'll find here. Like look at this place behind me. Look at that circular design there, and the lattice work that's going on there on this place, and the house is right next door to it. Sorry about the glare there, but I mean, everything here, wherever you go, man, there's just so many great houses. So I highly recommend that you come out here, take some time, walk around. They're still fixing up a lot of the places. Like this one's got some scaffolding. There's one down there that they've got a tarp over. So they're always working on this place. But this whole street, I think the people that live here have to keep the houses in a certain style of upkeep, and they can't change the architectural look of the places. So thank you for joining me here on this trip to Angelino Heights, and I hope you come out here, enjoy the architecture yourself, and yeah, I hope to do more of these architectural trips because I just love architecture. I love learning new things. Look at this. Look at this building. That's freaking awesome. You don't see that often. I don't think they build houses like that anymore. So yeah, so thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.